So next on our list is going to be the orchid and the orchid vase and the water it's in. Select the orchids and make sure they're visible. Shift A to get them into view. There we go. Go to the shader tree. Filter on selection. So there are 3 materials there. Let's start off with the Orchid Glass. We're going to set the diffuse color, diffuse amount to 0, and the amount of reflection 10 to 90. Let's turn off specular for now. And for the material transparency, we're going to have 100% transparent. And we're going to change the color to a light blue color, just to give the glass a little bit of character. And the absorption distance to 150 millimeters. Now the absorption distance for the light color will tend to fade the color off by the set distance that you have. And because of the shape of the vase, the color is going to vary from angle to angle given the refractive index of glass. We're going to set the refractive index of glass to 1.44. That looks pretty good. Okay, we're going to copy the same material, go to water, paste it, and we're going to take off the absorption distance. There's just no need for that. And we're going to change the transparent color to white and set the refractive index to 1.33. In order for the mesh to function correctly with the glass, the water and the glass, your water mesh must overlap and cross over to the glass material to have the refraction work correctly. So just take note of that. Moving on to the orchids, we're going to add an image map. So navigate to your architectural textures folder. It's going to be called entranceorchids.jpg. Take off anti-aliasing. Make sure you select entrance orchids for the UV map. We're going to make this double-sided. If you look at it right now, the flowers have only one side to them. So we're going to do double-sided for this. We're going to duplicate the diffuse color map. We're going to change the image to entrance orchids SSS. We're going to have this one set to specular amount. We're going to invert it and set it to multiply. And this will have the petals with a low specular value, much lower than the stems. Let's duplicate the color again, the diffuse color. Again, replace it with the SSS version. And we're going to set this to roughness. We're going to duplicate this one again and set it to subsurface amount. And then finally, we're going to duplicate the diffuse color and set this one to subsurface color. Okay. Now, before we finalize this material, we want to go to the material transparency qualities and go to subsurface. Just increase it by any amount just to activate the scattering distance and set the scattering distance to 0 because the flowers don't really have any thickness to them. And then finally, we want to give the glass and the water their own shader, but I don't want to give a shader to each one. So another way of doing this is let's take off filter on selection. Let's create a new group. Give it its own shader. And click on the group itself. And then under items, navigate to Orchid Vase. This is the actual mesh layer holding the vase and the water. And as you can see, if you do visible to camera off, it'll control the vase and the water. And what we do want to turn off is cast shadows, receive shadows, and indirect rays. And we're going to lower the shading rate to 0.1 to clear some of the aliasing effects of refraction and reflection. Okay? And let's save our file. Orchids. And before we move on, I think we just have to mention a few other items that have already been textured, which is the ornamental chair, placed here, next to the cabinet. And we also have the side window set here. Now this one, this one's out of view of the camera. It'll be visible in some of the glass reflections. And the chair is halfway out of the view. Okay, go back to item cam. So our scene is getting full of life right now. Remember to save. And if you have any textures you'd like to put in a texture map, the texture group, do it at this time. And save.